All right. Good morning to you all. We will not be streaming today. I did not stream yesterday as well. I know 2 days straight that I have not streamed. You guys are probably like, oh, what the hell? Just got some stuff that I need to take care of, but I am going to give you a couple of videos for the day. So I appreciate all the support, of course. I think Monday we'll be back at it, streaming yet again. So much love to you all. But today we're going to discuss this. I meant to talk about this earlier this week, but I never got around to it. But I think this speaks to sort of a larger issue, definitely with platforms, and let's just get right into it. So as read here, I'm reading this from Barstool. Spotify employees are now allegedly planning a full-blown strike if company refuses to censor Joe Rogan. And this is what they say. They continued of activists, Spotify staffers are now considering a walkout or full-blown strike if their demands for editorial oversight of the Joe Rogan Experience podcast aren't met. Late last night, we first reported that Spotify employees were demanding direct editorial oversight over the recent acquired Joe Rogan Experience podcast. That would include the ability to directly edit or remove seconds of upcoming interviews or block the uploading of episodes deemed problematic. The employees are also demanding the ability to add trigger warnings, corrections, and references to the fact-check articles on topics discussed by Rogan in the course of his multi-hour discussions. Some of the group's demands have already been met by Spotify management, though a refusal to allow further changes during talk of a high-profile walkout or strike. According to the preliminary plans shared with Digital Music News, the strike would principally involve New York-based Spotify employees and would be accompanied by protests outside of Spotify's Manhattan headquarters. Other aspects would involve media appearance and coordinations with the activist organizations, and this is why you don't hire left. No. Let me say this. We did discuss this briefly. I know, like, streaming, when this whole deal popped off, Joe Rogan going forward at one point was going to have like his podcast like exclusively, if I'm not mistaken, through Spotify. And obviously they're moving all of that content over. And Joe Rogan, though he does talk to virtually everybody on both sides of the aisle, though he himself is a leftist, he talks to virtually everybody on any side of the aisle. And I knew that, and when you saw that, I wish I had that pulled up. When that was first talked about and you saw the list of, like, of course it was everybody on the quote-unquote right of folks and things that they saw that were problematic, that were either not going to be there on there and stuff of that nature. So it's kind of hilarious that he moves to this platform. Employees are frustrated and they want to put out these special, they either want to remove content or they want to put out these like special captions and such to warn the audience, because how dare they would read something and just be able to assess it for themselves like the other episodes and so forth. But what they're pointing to is the fact that, of course, he has power, per se, Joe Rogan, and the fact that people watch him. People look forward to watching his podcast, and they don't want this whole idea of that sort of information that may be questionable to whatever narrative that they're trying to perpetuate to be out there for the audience to be able to assess it. Now, like I said, when you combine the fact, it's not just that the employees are willing to strike over it. That's not necessarily the case. I think it more so speaks to the fact that when the opposite end here's the opinion of the other side, more so it's speaking from the left, here's the opinions of the guys that are on the right, especially those controversial opinions and controversial positions that are over there, they then deem that as a problem and a threat to, like I said, the narrative. And that's a problem because they tell on themselves in doing that. I know that when it comes to tech and censorship, I don't really like to use that term, but you know what I mean. It seems to be slanted one way or the other. Well, no, it's not the other. It's generally slanted one way, and that's more so the leftist stuff is the stuff that is more so allowed to exist, allowed to cultivate, while the other is either dead on arrival or they nip it in the bud after a bunch of complaints. And what it shows, if nothing else, this shows you how far that they are willing to go to suppress that information. Because, look, when I listen to a podcast, or when you probably feel the same, sure, you may be hearing someone talk about something outlandish, but as an individual, as an adult, man or woman, you should be able to assess that and figure out what that is. If it is a bunch of hogwash, you should be able to look that up and make that, you can determine that for yourself. But for people to be like, yeah, this can't even exist, or we have to put these special warnings on it and all of this, because we wouldn't want anybody, of course, taking it serious, treating you like your babies. Now, of course, there's probably a bunch of filth on Spotify, nonetheless, that they're not complaining about. It's just Joe Rogan. I don't know who's all involved in this, but I'd imagine if they are talking about striking, it has to be some decent amount of higher ups that are like, they support this cause. I know they already gave them some of the demands. Didn't work, of course, because they're never satisfied. That's how it generally works, and that's why you don't want a business like that. But it has to be some higher ups involved, because I'm thinking like, well, you're just going to be out of a job, right? If I ran a business, I'm pretty sure, definitely in this day and age, so many people are looking for work. It's like, yeah, I'm pretty sure that stuff can get filled by virtually other people. But I have no idea what they are trying to accomplish, aside from, like I say, it's just more of a censorship thing that they want to make sure that they have reins on. And that's what's bizarre to me, is that employee would say, or a group of employees would say, well, we need to be able to filter this. This is more so, let's call it what it is. Censor probably isn't the correct term. Let's say filter it. Special filter for Joe Rogan by way of the employees. Like, what the? And then they demand, like, okay, we just strike if you don't give us this. Like, okay. Like I said, I hope that they have some like really big higher ups on their team. I would imagine they do, that are part of this, I don't know if they maybe have some board members, or somebody has to be a part of this that is green lighting, that allowing this to exist without saying, okay, if y'all do that, then that's y'all's business, but you just won't come back to a job. So marching and hold picket signs all you want to, but you will no longer be an employee here. I would think that would be the obvious thing to be said, unless, like I said, there's someone or some people that aren't just regular Joe Blow employees. They have managerial power or something, because this is such a bizarre story. When I first heard this, like, who do these guys think they are?